Okay, evening everybody. Welcome to the first of two string sessions that we're putting on this evening. Some of you are probably thinking, what's all this about? Why am I here? And all that kind of thing. So just a quick couple of house rules and why we are here before we start, and then I'll hand over to the fantastic Alex Lang to lead us through the first session. We as services in Coventry, Warwickshire and Solihull have decided to sort of combine really to try and encourage as many pupils as possible that have maybe missed out during lockdown, missed out doing ensemble work, missed out on sort of face-to-face lessons. And as we see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, we've decided to put on some Inspire and Engage workshops. So we held a brass one last month and we're doing a string one tonight. And then obviously we've got a woodwind one following towards the end of the month as well. So the idea behind this is to encourage you to get your instruments out, to play along, to ask questions, and start getting you to think about how you're going to do things as you start to return back to face-to-face lessons, and just to remind you the power of music is going to have to help us get through what's been a really tough 12 months really. So for those of you that haven't really used Zoom before, if you want to ask any questions during the session, because again we want it to be interactive, we want you to get involved, if you just click down to the bottom there's a chat bubble. So again, we've had a lot of brilliant questions in so far in advance anyway, but if there's anything you really want Alex to explain or to go through, just pop something in the chat and we'll try and get our best to sort of get a question to answer for you. And like I say, the whole point is to get your instruments out of the case. Alex is going to go through quite a few things with you in the short space of time. And then hopefully, like I say, after Easter, we'll start looking at getting back to some face-to-face things, and you'll be ready to sort of start rejoining your musical journey. If any of your friends or people have missed this, we are recording it as well, so we'll make sure that goes upon all our relative websites for you to access moving forward. Anyway, without further ado, I would really like to thank and welcome Alex for giving up his time this evening to support our young students across the three authorities, and we really hope you enjoy. So with I'd like to welcome from all three authorities, Solihull, Warwickshire and Coventry, Mr. Alex Lang. Thank you. You'll just have to unmute yourself and put your video on.
Hi everyone, what a treat, and it's so lovely to see you all. I have been asked to start this session by just telling you a bit about who I am and what I do. And that is fine, although it's definitely my least favourite thing to do, to talk about myself. So I want to get rid of that as quickly as possible and then start working a little bit with you guys on string technique. And before I tell you a bit about me, can I just compliment you on some of the questions that have come in advance? You have nailed every single bit of technical stuff for string that we need to think about as a string player. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and give you some advice on solving pretty much the basics, all inside 40 minutes. Wish me luck. Now, as we've said, if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat. My favourite thing in the whole world is trying to help people solve problems with music and with violin and cello and string technique. So don't be scared to ask anything. And if I don't get to answer it today, it will help me think about how I then address that sort of thing in the future. So there we go. Okay, so a bit about me. Right. My current job is I'm a director of music at a school in Warwick called the King's High for Girls, and I'm also the director of music of the prep school that's attached to it. So I look after musicians who are 3 years old and I look after musicians who are 18 years old. But my major love has always been performing, conducting, teaching string instruments. So when I went to university, I studied music, and then I went to the Birmingham Conservatoire to play the violin. And then people were crazy and started to get me to want to teach them how to do it. So I started doing that. And then somebody gave me a full-time job doing it. Amazing. So that's what's happened. And as I've got better at it, I've done more and more of it. And all of a sudden, national orchestras were asking me to go and coach for them. And then I was conducting for them, and then somebody called Nicola Benedetti called me and she said would I join her newly formed foundation. And so last year I started working with probably the most important educator musically in the country currently, and I'm very, very lucky to be one of her team. So working with her inspires me to get out and do even more of what I already do. Right, that's enough about me. Fine. Your questions have been fantastic. So one question came in straight away, which is, how do I practice to strengthen the control of my bow? Another question came in to say, how do I make my left hand quicker? Another person said, how do I shift? Another person said, how do I do vibrato? Right, so that's kind of, I don't know, 20 hours of teaching just on those 4 subjects, but we're going to do it in 40 minutes, okay? So what I'd like you all to do, and cellists, you can do this too, I'm a violin player, but I know a bit about cello playing as well, is I want you to find your bow, and I want you to put your violin down to start with, okay? And I want you to find your bow, and I want you to hold it kind of in front of the screen so I can see it, like horizontally, so as straight as you can over there, right? And it doesn't need to be right at the heel. It can be a little bit higher, just so you get a feeling of the balance of the bow, okay? Oh, I didn't give you any ground rules, but you're doing this brilliantly already. What I like to see is I like to see smiling people, and I like to see thumbs up when you understand what I'm on about, right? And if you don't understand, thumb in the middle. And I probably try and ignore that one because that means you're hating everything I'm saying. So let's go for that meaning, what you on about, mate? And that being, I'm with you. Okay, so the first thing I'd like you to be able to do is, can you see if you can tap your little finger? You can hold the bow with your left hand if you want. Can you tap your little finger on the stick? I can see some brilliant ones already. Great. Fantastic. Fantastic. Right. Now what I'd like you to be able to do next is, can you just rotate your arm through so that the bow is pointing to the ceiling? And then back. And then up. And this is like a wrist thing, yeah? So you're just moving the wrist around. Brilliant. And now I'd like you to show me a babyish wave. And when I say a babyish wave, I mean, you know, when a little baby learns how to say hello or goodbye, they go, yeah, and it's like a floppy wrist, okay? So if you can hold the bow and do the floppy baby wrist, baby wave, do you know what? It's all great. You guys are, this is fine. You're doing good. Now, somebody asked me about strengthening the bow. This is actually what I'm doing with you. I'm strengthening your bowing technique. But strengthening is a funny word because it's not power, it's balance and easy relaxation. Okay? So that's the first thing with floppy wrist. Now, what I'd like you to do now is to move your hand towards the center of the bow, pretending that, so that the bow's really well balanced. And I'd like you to get the feeling of just rocking the bow between the pinky and the first finger. So I'm just going to scroll through and see if I can just see everybody. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? So just the fingers, okay? That's really good. Yeah, terrific. You're all doing this great. Thumbs up. You know what's going on? Hurrah. Now, if you can do thumbs up and this at the same time, that's multitasking. We need that for string playing. Now, with cellists, can I say that I do know something about the cello, and that is that you don't have your pinky on the stick, but you have it over the top, okay? But apart from that, all of this is the same, okay? You can still rotate with the wrist and the wrist and the, okay? Now, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to understand that this fellow here, this finger, can control whether the bow goes left or right. Does that make sense? So I'd like you to be able to go that way and that way, backwards and forwards, with the first finger moving the bow. Hey, great. Hey, great, great, great. Now, can you keep your pinky fairly close to the bow as well? So I'm doing this. So the bow is coming that way and that way, just with the pinky. Wow. Terrific. Good, you guys are doing it. We're going to make it a little wee bit trickier. Right, I'm now pointing my bow, my tip at the screen, and I'm going to start drawing some shapes. So, right, up, squares, right? Nothing is moving except my fingers. Can you do it without moving anything except your fingers? Very good. A little confession here. I had a violin lesson when I was pretty good when I was little, but I had a violin lesson when I was about 19. And this teacher said to me, "You're very good apart from your bow hand and the other hand." And it wasn't until I was 19 that I actually started to get control of my bow. And this is the stuff that I was being taught. So a university professor was working with me on this stuff then. Simple, right? But I'm not going to say strength, finger ability to control, yeah? So that's the, now I want you to try and do a triangle. So that goes up and then up into the middle and down. And again, if you're a cellist, your pinky can be over the... So again, it's just the fingers controlling this, right? Okay, you can do fast and backwards and forwards and whatever. And then my favourite one is a figure of 8. So it's all easy. So you can control which way the stick is going. And I'm still doing it in the middle of the bow because the lower down the bow you get, the harder it is. I can actually do it here because I'm quite good at it these days. But in the middle of the bow it's easy. Easier. So you're always doing it with a beautiful bow hole, like cellists and double bass players down here. Violin player with a pinky on the stick. Everyone clear? Thumbs up? I cannot recommend that exercise highly enough. Okay? The next one I want you to try and do, this is all to do with strengthening, although I hate that word, is can you do that with your fingers? And I think of this as like a jellyfish. If you look at a kind of if you've been to the beach and suddenly you see this jelly coming at you, you think, ah! That sort of motion, right? Here comes the jellyfish at you. Can you do that with the bow in your hand? Yeah, it's an excellent jellyfish. Now, if you can do it with the bow, we're in business, right? So all I'm doing is I'm bringing the bow in and out of my hand with the fingers. Wow, there's some excellent ones. Wow, wow, wow. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Really brilliant. Good. Yeah. Now I'd like you to see whether you can start walking like a spider. Spiders and jellyfish. I'm sorry, I'm being a bit creepy. Yeah, Miss Slater's not that keen on a spider. Never mind. Can't have it all. But you know how spiders crawl? Like that? See if you can travel up the bow like that. You're holding the bow, so each individual finger is like a leg. Okay? Mrs. Slater's rather good at this. And then back down again. So you're getting control of the bow. Okay? So, do those exercises. Your fingers will get better at controlling the bow. I promise. 10 minutes a day, you'll be awesome in 2 weeks. If you got it right. Now, let's pick up the violin. Because I want to know whether you've ever been to a concert. And you can put your thumbs up at me and say, yes, I've been to a concert. Good. Pleased to hear it. Have you ever been to a concert and been really close to a professional violin player? Right, and I'm really close to them. I try and do this as often as I can. It's been a long time. I'm amazed whenever I hear a really top violin player. And the last person I heard doing this, well, apart from Nicola Benedetti herself, was a chap called Maxim Vengerov in London. And his sound was extraordinary, but I heard lots of this. Can you hear that? Is that horrible? Okay, but then I went to the back of the hall and I couldn't hear that anymore. All I heard was an enormous noise. And his control of when the bow was starting and stopping was extraordinary. And but the dirtiness in the sound right next to him was amazing. That's what I'd like to develop a little bit with you. So I'd like you all to get your bows onto the strings of your cello. Let's go for the bottom string, so C. Viola C. Violin G. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like to put your bow with a beautiful bow hold as close to the heel as you can possibly get. So right, can you see my hand is right over? And then I want you to sort of sink your body. So can you see that I'm kind of almost bouncing my arm into the string? And I want you just to make this noise. Just that. So you can't hear anything except horrible. Yeah? Like you're just... Can you give me a thumbs up if you've made a really horrible noise and it sounds exactly like I'm asking? Does it sound like mine? Does it sound as bad as mine? No thumb... Yeah, okay, great. Wonderful. Now, the next part of this is a bit better, okay? Because what I want you to do is I want you to go from here and then release that noise. So it sounds like this. There's your... And then release. Release and go on the G. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, look at that. All of you together. Wonderful. 1, 2, 3, grip, go. Yeah. How did that feel? Did that feel really loud? Loud is what we want. Okay? So you're making a really clean sound. Okay? One more time. 1, 2, 3. Now, do you see? I'd like you also to try this with me. See if you can do it together. Zoom is crazy for this, but see if you can do it together. Just before I start, I'm going to go up, down. Yeah? So 1, 2, 3, up, go. Ah, yes. Get in. That was beautiful to watch. Did everyone feel like they were making a good sound after the grip of the... Yeah? Really good big sound? Yes? Good, thank you. Some very reassuring smiles. I'm liking that. Great, great, great. Okay. It's much harder on an up bow, but I'd like you to try it. So go towards the tip of the bow. And I do this with this one. I have to just dig in a little bit with this finger on the stick. Okay? A little bit. Just to hold the bow, yeah? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, grip. Go for it. So we're going to go and... Yeah. Okay, good. Now, I'd like you to experiment with something for me. I think there's a good chance that you've already improved. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do a down bow G and an up bow G, like this, with the same feeling of contact. The loudest but easiest loud you can possibly get. Does that make sense? The easiest loud you can get. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, down, go. And up. Down. I think that looks pretty good. Happy with that? Does it sound big and loud and easy? Big and loud and easy is the secret to string technique. Cellist, how are you getting on? Yeah? Heather, cellist, all good? Oh, somebody's put a thumbs up on the screen. How brilliant. Amazing, amazing. Okay, good. So that's the basics of bow control, bow strengthening, okay? Left hand. Now, one of the big sins, or one of the things that I see a lot with people, are they get their hands stuck with a tight thumb and the fingers jammed together. Okay? So the first thing I'd like you to do is we're just going to loosen that up. So I want you to show me your left hand on the screen, and I want you to see whether can you stroke the neck of the violin or cello with your behind on the cello with your thumb. So your thumb is moving. Okay? Thumb needs to be able to move. Now this is important. I'm not saying that you should move your thumb when you play, but I want you to be able to move your thumb when you play. Does that make sense? You shouldn't be gripping. All right? So if you've got a thumb that is going this direction, can you see that way? That's going to make the rest of your hand very difficult to work. So what we want is we want a thumb that goes there with a gap so that the fingers can be fast over the top. Okay? Now, I'm just looking around. This is all good. So now, can you show me the back of your hand as you play with a nice movable thumb? And see if you can just move your fingers so that they're all moving easily. There's some very beautiful things going on, you know? You're all great. Either that or you're following instructions beautifully. Or both. It's really terrific. Some good waggly cello fingers going on as well. That's great. That looks really good. Really good. Very good. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you the most important joint in the hand. The most important joint for speed work actually is here. Okay? I call them the bass joints of the hands. So if you look at the fingers, do you see where my wedding ring is? That is there. That there is where the movement should come. So to get your hand fast, you need to be able to move all your fingers from the bass joint. So what I'd like you to do now, again, you can put your bow down and just see if you can lift each individual finger. And this is really cool. I think it's really cool because I'm a bit of a geek. One of the fingers is quite difficult to move. That one moves easily. That one moves easily from the bass joint. This one I can't lift very much. The third one. And the fourth one moves much more easily again. Do you know why it is that the third won't move? Please allow me to be scientifically geeky. Okay, so, I can't show you my forearm. Maybe I can try. Hold on. Okay, here is my forearm. Right. Let me just see if I can see myself. Speaker view. Let's just check. Okay, right. There is my forearm. If I bend this finger, can you see that there's a muscle and a tendon area here that moves? There. This finger, different place. Can you see it's a bit lower down the arm, moving there? There. So this one, there. This one, there. Third finger, do you see what happens when I move my third finger? The fourth finger comes too. Isn't that crazy? But you can see the tendon is there. Can you see that one moving? And then if I do the fourth finger, can you see the third finger comes too? Now the reason for that is that this finger has its own tendon, this finger has its own tendon, but the third and the fourth join together here, which means that they don't work so easily apart from each other. Which is why we need to work here really carefully with third and fourth to get our hands quick. Okay, I hope I've explained that reasonably. Let's go back to gallery and I can see you all a bit better. So, what I'd like you to try and do now is put all your fingers on the string. It can be in third position, it might be easier actually. And I want you to just practice lifting your fourth finger away from the others. And forgive me, Martina, I can see you. You've been absolutely immaculate so far, but just now, could you wait? Could you now lift your finger back from the bass joint? You've got to lift your fourth finger right back, as far as it will go, but keep it bent. So if you can you see my finger going that way? Yeah. Good. Everyone else got it? Wow, well done, Will. Good stuff. Yeah, Emma's showing it to me. That's great. Good stuff. So what we want is we want to strengthen this. Strengthen again, why am I saying that? Mobilize this joint here. Okay? And if you can sort your fourth finger and your third finger out like that, that is the secret to playing fast. You've got to support the fourth and the third. And again, just check that as you're doing it, your thumb is movable. Okay? Now, I worked pretty hard at this and I'm a bit out of practice, but basically, I would start doing fourth finger trills. Always from here. I used to be better and quicker. It's life, isn't it? Okay. Okay, but that's the secret to playing fast, is getting that fourth finger going. Fantastic. Please practice that as well. It might take you a little while. You're not going to get it today, but you might tomorrow and you might take 2 weeks. Again, 5-10 minutes of getting that bass joint working, you'll see a significant improvement. Right. Next little left hand exercise. and I'm going to go to my stock things, which is to talk about the animal world. Have you ever been in have you ever seen cartoons where someone like Daffy Duck appears in the middle of a Spanish bull ring and suddenly there's this kind of bull that snorts and is about to charge at him and he's got a red cape? Everyone know what I'm talking about? Seen cartoons like that? Okay, so you'll know that a bull, when it's about to charge, with its breathing fire out of its nose and all that, it shakes its hooves on the ground. It paws the ground. Everyone know about that? It goes right. Now the motion is that way when it does that. Okay? So it goes back on itself and then up and round. Back on itself and up and round. Okay? Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about that with your fourth finger that we've just been working on. And I want you to pluck the string, the E string, with your fourth finger, left hand pizzicato, but like the bull doing it. So, excuse me, let's see if I can show you. So there's the... It's like the pawing of the ground with the fourth finger. And what I'm really interested in seeing is, can you get this joint here to react like that? Yes! Hurrah! Great! That is another really, really good way to strengthen that fourth finger. Okay? Never be a waste of time to practice that, ever. Because it also gives you a wonderful hand position. If you try it on the G string, you need to get up and round to do it on the G string. Cellos, you can do the same thing with your hand position like that. Just practice lifting the strings away. You could the pizzicato away, maybe with all fingers you could do. Just to get that feeling of where you are, but always maintaining that beautiful relaxed feeling with the thumb. Brilliant. Brilliant. Can't recommend that one enough. The other animal I like to work with a lot is the Namibian short shovel-snouted lizard. Yep. Miss Slater's looking sceptical at me for the Namibian short-snouted lizard, shovel-snouted lizard. Now this lizard is a crazy customer. It lives in a really hot desert. I want you to look at this up. You could Google shovel-snouted lizard dancing. Okay? Now the sand is so hot that it needs to keep lifting its feet away from the sand. And it's absolutely brilliant because basically as soon as the feet go onto the string, it's like string playing. It just needs to lift the feet away. And what it does is it stands on two legs at once. So it looks like that. I wonder if I've got a picture of him here. I've usually got a picture of a shovel-snouted lizard somewhere around. It's my go-to lizard. Where is he? Oh well. Look him up. There's this crazy Google YouTube clip of this lizard running along and then dancing, and it just looks like you need to work with your fingers on the strings, away from the string, away from the string. Okay, fab. Now, somebody wanted to know about shifting. So I can't go completely crazy on shifting because this is really intricate stuff, but I do want you to do this for me, which is to hold your violin, support the put your bow down, support your violin with your right hand. Cellos, it's probably easier for you this, maybe. Any cello. And we're just going to be travelling up and down the strings, okay? Now, can you hear me? If you give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound of my hand travelling. Okay, now I like to think of that as kind of, it sounds like ice skating. Okay? So, what I want you to do is I want you to touch the string as lightly as you can with some of your fingers. And it doesn't really matter. But again, just check how soft and easy your thumb is. And then I want you to just go up and down the fingerboard, making that ice skating sound. Excellent. Cellos, same thing, yeah? Just... Now, here's a bit of skill for you. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do the same thing, but this time without touching the string, just going up and down, but play an open string at the same time. So if I demonstrate. Because amazingly, if you sort your bow out, the shifting will be easier. Okay, so a bit of multitasking. How's that? There's some I tell you what, there's some very, very stylish players in this. Bit impressed by this. Everyone understanding? Looking good. Thumbs up. Cellist as well, you get what I'm on about? Good, well done. Nice, nice, nice. Excellent. Now, I'm quite happy if this sounds terrible, okay? But I'd like you now to try it, shifting, just doing a kind of weird... Put the ice skating in this time, but with the bow. Got it? Great. So the secret of shifting is to have no pressing on the strings at all. All right? Now the last thing I want you to do with this is I want you to play a first finger on any string. So cellists, you could be first finger on your D string, for example. And then I want you to release the pressure so it goes... So it almost becomes like a harmonic. Does everyone know what a harmonic is? Yeah? Ish? So you go from touching the string properly to not. So it gets that really weird glassy sound, right? So what I want you to do is that. And then move. And then when you've moved to somewhere you want to move, put the finger back down again. So let's do, for violinists, let's do B to D on the A string. So one, this is first to third position, by the way. How does that feel? Easy? Does it feel easy? Thumbs up if it's easy? Amazing. Okay, we can extend it then. So we're going to do a little scale. Can I just give me thumbs up if you like scales? Yes, you have to like scales. They are everything in music. All great music is made up of scales and arpeggios. You have to love them. Did I say that out loud? Okay. We're going to do this. 2, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to third position each time and we're doing a little scale pattern. All right, everyone understand? Here we go. 1, 2, away we go. How was that? Everyone's thumb, if you look at the back of my hand when I'm doing it this time. So it's all very, very easy. Yes? Thumbs up? Again, this is such good stuff to work on. If it feels easy, you're doing it right. Okay? And you want to do stuff that is easy. You want to make everything easy. Right. Dare I talk about vibrato? I think I do. Oh. Right. We've got 5 minutes on vibrato and then I'm going to answer some questions. Okay. What I'd like you to do, guys, we're not going to use the bow with this. Vibrato is incredibly complicated and really difficult to teach. Okay? But I'm going to give you one basic thing to start with. Which is, I want you to put your hand up near the ribs of the violin. So we're going to be, some of you will be out of position. You know, we're going to be in kind of fourth position, but it doesn't matter. Okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to do that, and I want you to hold your violin in the kind of guitar position first. And what I want you to do is to have that thumb in that beautiful place, just in that near the neck of the violin. Cellists, I'm aware I'm being a bit violin-y here, but you can do the same thing. Put your thumb into that lovely place before you need to go into thumb position, And Chalice, you can start rocking your hand backwards and forwards. Like imagine you're holding an orange and it goes backwards and forwards. Okay? Violin players, you're in this guitar position. And what I want you to do is I want you to go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Keeping your thumb in where it was. Does that make sense? So if I show you what it looks like at the back. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Hurrah! Can you give me a thumbs up if that feels easy? Good. Now we're going to do the same thing but up here. Okay, so up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so here we go. Up, down, up, down, up. I tell you what, you look great, guys. Now we're going to go down, up, down, up, down. Yay! Brilliant. We can move on, he says scarily. We're going to do it quite quickly. It's going to go like this. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. We're doing it in fives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get it? So the hand is starting here and it's going up, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop on the up. Down, up, down, up, down. Brilliant. Will K, that was very stylish. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Now that is the start of wrist vibrato. Alright? The start of wrist vibrato. If you want to try, this is what it might sound like. Because I don't want you to hold the finger in place yet. It'll sound like this. Yeah? It's going to sound horrible, but that's not the point. It's fine. Brilliant. Brilliant. And then little by little, you can just make the gaps smaller. And then just make the pressure of the finger a tiny bit more. And then you're kind of on the way. All right? Long ball game. Don't get impatient with yourself. The important thing is everything needs to feel easy. If it doesn't feel easy, take a step back to somewhere where it does. And keep thinking. Be patient. Patience is crucial. Right, guys, I have spoken. I have bored you for long enough. But now you can excite us all again with some questions, if there are any. And if not, I can bore you some more. That's fine. Do you ever feel like it's a bit too hard? Yes, all the time. Amelia has asked, do you ever feel like it's a bit too hard? Yes. The thing about playing the violin or teaching the violin or anything like that is there's always something that that's not easy. And conquering those things is the challenge. And one of the treats that I've had in my life is realizing that my students are better than I am, because they find ways I can help them become better than me by teaching them to do things that I'm not able to do because it's too hard for me, but they can do it. What made you want to start playing? Well, okay, great question. My father plays the violin. His father played the violin. His father played the violin. His father played the violin. So I am number 5. So my great grandfather played the violin. And my son plays the double bass. What have I done? Yeah, I've broken the chain. So it was basically, I didn't really have a choice. My dad started me playing the violin when I was about 5 years old. Could you show the vibrato again? Oh, what's the difference between wrist and hand vibrato? Okay, well, we will do this now. The other thing I'd like you to be able to do, I'm not going to explain hand vibrato because I like full body vibrato. But what I'd like you to do with your left hand fingers is, can you just make your, we talked about the bass joints here, these ones. Can you make your last finger joint spongy? So like that. And again, cellos, you can do this. This is really helpful for you too. Can you make that final joint spongy? Do you see what I'm doing there? Just okay? Because when you vibrate, it's really important that everything is moving there. Yeah? So that needs to be movable, that one. There, there, there. The wrist needs to be able to move, but that is a good place to start from there. And then eventually the whole arm can move, okay? So there's lots of different types of vibrato, and the important thing is to be able to do all of them so that you can change your sound whenever you want. But it's a long process, so the best way is just to start with making sure everything can move really well. Okay, what is the best way to learn a scale? Oh, wow. I like people to use their ears to play scales, so I don't love it when people are reading scales from the music. So I would want you to listen really hard to whether you're playing really well in tune for scales, and also always how easy does it feel. So I keep saying this, if it doesn't feel easy, it's not happening as it needs to happen. Everything you do needs to feel easy. So take it slowly, be patient, enjoy the beauty of the sound as you're playing each scale. All right? How long do you think you should practice for? Well, I don't practice enough. How's that? But then I'm working too hard these days. When I was your age, I was practicing before school. So I got up early. My dad woke me up early. And I did, by the time I was 13 or 14, I was probably doing 45 minutes to an hour before school every day. But nobody else was doing that much at that age. I mean, but it helped, I did a lot of work. But time is, you can achieve a huge amount in very small amounts of time. Really small amounts of time. If you're practicing in the right way, it's, I used to live with somebody who practiced for several hours. And one of the things that I often used to hear was that she used to get worse during the day rather than better. And it's because she was doing too much. She was getting stressed by it or something. So you've got to be really calm and decide what you want to practice and what you want to achieve, and not worry about anything else. So if you're improving your vibrato, improve your vibrato and don't worry about the bow arm. If you want your bow to be better, think about the bow and don't worry about how badly in tune you're playing. Yes, manageable goals, and 10 minutes every now and then is better than saying nothing all week and then thinking, oh my god, I've got a lesson tomorrow, and trying to do an hour. It won't work. 10 minutes every now and then every day is better than an hour on one day. Thumbs up on that? 10 minutes is nothing, by the way. Is it? I'm not managing 10 minutes a day. How many times a week should I practice? Can you manage every day? 10 minutes every day? Better than splurging at the end. Do you have a practice routine for the violin? I have a practice routine for what I need to learn. So if I'm learning a piece, I work out what I need to do with it, and then I'm organized like that. But the important thing is I don't give myself a hard time for the thing I'm not focusing on. Okay? So if I need to sort out my left hand, that's what I think about, and I don't think about anything else. And if I try to anyway. Memorizing music. Wow, what a good question. Okay. This is a complicated one for me now because I'm a conductor. I now memorize the whole score of everything rather than just violin parts. But actually that's not a bad idea. If you can listen to the piece that you're playing a lot and get it inside you, then you'll find memorizing it much better. The other thing is I've never memorized notes. I've always memorized groups of notes. Does that make sense? So go back to scales and arpeggios. I can sometimes see that a whole load of notes are a scale. So now I don't need to memorize it anymore because I already know that that's what it is. I don't see 16 notes, I see the scale. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So that's my big tip for that. The other thing with memorizing that's occasionally helped me is I've tried to develop a photographic memory, which I don't have. But I look at the score and then I close my eyes and I physically try to see the music. And then I try to play the music that I'm seeing on the back of my eyelids. And that's a tactic that has helped me in really difficult music occasionally. What's the best time to practice the violin? I'm a morning person. So before school for me. But other people can't stand the morning. My own children are not very good in the morning. Do you ever play to get rid of stress or just for your own happiness? I love that question. Performance nerves and performance anxiety. Sometimes I have had patches in my life where playing the violin has been very stressful. Usually because I've had lots of self-doubt, and usually because I've been worried about how good I am or worried about the amount of time I've had to practice. I now play to get rid of stress more than I ever did, and I play Bach. Okay? Which a lot of it's far too difficult for me, and that's actually in a way fine. Because that's not why I'm not trying to perform it. I'm just trying to let it happen to me. So I play Bach to get rid of stress. And do I just play for my own happiness? I would, yes. I'm going to let you into a secret here. If I'm playing for my own happiness, I feel guilty, like I should be doing something else. But I do love it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. Do you recommend gap practice? What is gap practice? Little bits, doing it in little chunks. Is that what you would say? Is that what? Yes. Okay, gap practice. Yes. Working in little bits is brilliant, and that also helps memorizing. Okay? So really getting in touch with a little bit is wonderful. And don't try and achieve too much again. Did I ever lose motivation to practice? Yes, of course I did. Of course. There was a time when I was about 11 or 12 where I suddenly discovered that I would rather be playing rugby than playing the violin. And that was a difficult patch because that also, I started to get injured as well, which meant that I then couldn't play the violin because my fingers were sore and that was a difficult patch because I wanted to do both very much. And then sometimes I didn't quite know why I was doing something. Was I doing it to impress my teacher or to impress my dad but when I got to 13 I knew I loved it. So after that it was all fine. But yeah, motivation is, sometimes you don't want to get the violin out of its case because you're just kind of too tired or it's normal, totally normal. Wow. When is the best time? No, we've done that. That's great, guys. What wonderful questions. I hope I've helped you a little bit with some of these technical things. Has that been useful? Thank you. That's great.
Alex, it's been really helpful.
Oh, wonderful. It's such a treat. And I'm so impressed with what you can do online in these situations, actually, just with basic technique troubleshooting. I'm really impressed with all of you. Lots of focus and lots of style going on, actually.
I've really enjoyed that, Alex, and I've learned loads too, along with everyone else. It was absolutely fantastic. So much to absorb, and I'm so looking forward to watching the recording as well. Just before you go,
yeah.
Can I just ask you if you would mind just playing us a few notes of anything?
Oh my God! Right.
A scale or a...
I'll tell you what. We were working on the we were working on the big G string sound. One of the things that I do with tiny little ones to get them excited by the violin, I'm talking about 5 and 6 year olds, is I get them to put their hands up when they think that I've played the highest note possible on the violin. And it's great, isn't it? What perfect. So I'll just do that for you now. But I use the Bruch violin concerto for this because it starts on the lowest note and it gets higher. Okay? So let's see if I can remember how to play it. Please be kind to me. I'm a bit rusty and I'm a bit old. Right, here we go. So you can put your hands up when you think I've got to the highest note possible. But you're all violin players, so you won't fall for that. Even the cellist, right? You won't fall for that either, will you? Okay. There you go. First phrase of the Bruch.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, pleasure.
Loved it. Tingle. I said tingles.
Yeah. Just to wrap up then, everyone, really, just first and foremost, thank you to Alex for such an inspirational session. From my point of view, just sitting in and watching, just to see so many pupils engaged and being online, absorbing everything you're saying is absolutely fantastic. So thank you to you all for being here this evening. Take on board what Alex has told you. You know, think about listening. It's a key thing that comes through these things all the time. Listen to different music, use your ears, listen to the advice he's giving you on the techniques and listening to music are really, really important. And you won't get anywhere with any of that unless you get your instrument out of the case and do regular practice. Like Alex says, I think as educators, we can all say the same things. We would rather you did 10-15 minutes practice every single day rather than trying to wrap it up all in, you know, over a weekend. And once you've got your instruments out, as we're coming out of this lockdown, investigate. Part of the joy of music is playing with other people. If you're not in an ensemble or in a group at school, when we get out of this horrible situation we're in, get involved. You know, look at where your local music service ensembles are. Go down, make friends, enjoy, and get your instrument out and play with others. Because again, you'll get so much enjoyment from doing that, and your playing will really, really improve. And then finally, just a big thank you to Coventry and Warwickshire and Solihull as well for sort of organising these events. Like I say, the whole point is to inspire you to get your instruments out and get ready to really hit the ground running when we come out of this lockdown, because we as musicians have all really suffered through this pandemic, and we want to make sure we rebuild back stronger and make sure we've got, you know, musicians of the future. So a massive thank you again to Alex. If we could just give him a virtual round of applause, everybody, I'd really appreciate it. And like I say, we'll see you all soon. So thank you very much indeed, Alex, indeed.
Just before you go, Richard, could I just also say thank you everybody for the applause. I know it would be thunderous if we were all together. Mine certainly would. I just didn't want to deafen you all. I just want to thank Richard very much for being the glue that stuck all of this together. He provided the links and has done a lot of background work to support us tonight. So thank you, Richard, as well. And could I just put out a suggestion to you all? I know for some of you it might be bedtime now, but we have another session running at 7 o'clock, and the email that you were sent with the links should have had the link for the next session. Now, you've seen in this session how wonderful Alex is and how he makes everything down to earth and breaks things down so that we can easily understand it. We don't have nearly as many people signed up for session 2. So if you would like to come back on and see more of Alex talking about vibrato and some even more advanced techniques than you've already seen, you are more than welcome just to click on the second link for the second workshop at 7 o'clock, 7:15, and we would love to see you again if you would like to join us again. Okay, but thank you once again, Alex. Thank you very much.
Very well said, Di. Very well said. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully, we might see you later. Otherwise, like I say, get your instruments out, get playing, because we're going to come back stronger than ever before. So lovely to see so many of you here tonight. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
All the best. All the best.